Hello, hello, and welcome to the Color Whisperer Show. And I'm just shaking all over the place. See if I can fix that. Where we talk about all things home and healing. And this is my coming out week. It's kind of exciting. It's been scary. It's been nervous. And, it's interesting because on one hand, I didn't think I was hiding much from the world, so to speak. And as I've been doing this, I really do feel like this great big secret has been revealed. So, y'all know I do healing stuff. So that's where I'm like, okay, this isn't that big a secret, but I've never really come out with my healing stuff quite in this way. So, let me tell you what's going on. So, I've been very busy this year doing I'm starting a whole new business. It just kind of happened. It's pretty wild. So what happened? About a year ago, two of my friends got diagnosed with breast cancer. And they came to me and they said, Jeanette, can you help me? I'm like, well, yeah. And there are ways of dealing with cancer from a holistic state of point of view. And I asked myself, first of all, what do you want to do about the cancer? Do you want to go through the surgery? Both of them were very fortunate. It was only stage 1 lumpectomies, so that's really good. But they both got lumpectomies, and they both went through, the process, and stayed by them as much as I could and helped them as much as I could, going to the doctor with them, asking, telling them information. And see, now why did they come to me? That's a good question, right? Well, I'll tell you why they came to me. So this part may be the secret part that got really revealed. So I've had mystaglia. That sounds like a fun word, doesn't it? Yeah, it's really not. It's kind of fun to say. It's not fun to have. What mystaglia is breast pain. And I've battled this on and off for 30 years. There are times it gets worse. There are times it's okay. Sometimes I have months when there's no problems, and then it'll come on and it's like, I can't hug anybody. I can't sleep except on my back. It hurts to walk because the slightest little movement just hurts. Sorry about that. We'll shut that off. Usually I shut it off, but I forgot. There we go. All right. So like the slightest little movement just hurts. So this has been my path, and I have spent 30 years looking at different ways of dealing with it. And honestly, this has been a big chunk of my healing journey. What's going on here? Why? You guys have seen I've had all kinds of healers on the show. I've asked a lot of questions in my life of my body. And this is one of the ways I really started listening to my body because I had to. If you've been watching for a while, you know the story of my asthma and the miracle color thing that happened for me there. But just to give you a short recap, I had asthma in my 20s, and I found this healer, which was very new to me at that time. I never heard of that. So you do what? But I didn't care. The doctors weren't working for me, and I was miserable. And this man said he could help me. I'm like, I'll try it. And in one session, he cured my asthma. And what he said was that There's grief stuck in my body. So each part of the body has emotions to it. When you understand that, when you understand how that works, you get a whole other story that you don't get from the doctors because they're not taught this. You know, all this knowledge got poo-pooed by Big Pharma in the 1930s when they came in. So, anyway, I started learning about what's my body really saying. A few years after that was my first really bad case of nystaglia, and I could not hug anybody. I could not have anything to do with any kind of motion or, in my chest. And so I went back to the same guy and said, help. And he showed me a bunch of stuff that day. He explained to me what the emotions were attached here. And I was like, oh. So I've used that technique for 30 years. And for a good 20 of those years, I had a friend, and we both learned the technique, and we would work on each other all the time. And it was amazing. And then she moved. So I had to start looking for other ways too, because while that's stuff I can do, I couldn't really do all of it by myself, and it was hard. So I had to find other answers, and that's exactly what I started doing. So they came to me looking for answers, and I said, well, we got this, we got this, we got this does this does that. But what we really want to do is we want to get after the kernel. Because I believe, and there's lots of evidence to back this up, that stress creates illness. See it all over Facebook, cortisol, stress. The doctors will even tell you stress causes disease. They won't get into the emotions of it, but they'll tell you stress causes disease. And you have your own disease, your own stress disease. You do. And it's different for everybody. Maybe it's headaches, maybe it's migraines, indigestion. Whatever it is, when you work yourself too hard, your body goes there, that's your stress disease. So the part of your body that happens to, that part of your body is telling you a message. The pain isn't just about, I have a pain here, there's something wrong with me. There's an emotion that's stuck in that part of the body. Just like when I had asthma. My father died when I was a year old. I didn't know how to grieve properly then. All I knew is this man was gone. Even the doctor at the time said this is the worst age for her to lose her father. My sister was still in utero. She never met him, outside the womb. She never knew him that way. I'm sure there was something that she felt missing, but it wasn't in the same way that I did. A different kind of missing. So because I never fully grieved for him, all those tears were stuck inside me. But once they were released and I was able to cry, just thinking about it, I breathe better. I haven't had an asthma attack since. So that's how powerful this stuff can be. once we know how to listen to our bodies, really listen, we can take better steps. We can make better decisions, make better choices. So, what I did for each of them is we went in and we found the kernel. What was the seed? What was the little marble? That's what he called them, little stress marbles that get stuck in our body. So I went in for each and I found what their stress marble was. And we cleared it. Because, like, they have cancer. I can't be retroactive. I can do amazing things. I've done amazing things with this technique. Truly amazing things. But plucking cancer out of your body like that, that's a different skill level. But what I didn't want was for it to come back. In my 30s, an aunt who died from breast cancer. And she'd had breast cancer before, and she fought it like a trooper. Man, that broad was tough. She did it by herself. She didn't ask anybody for help. And she got through it. And about 10 years later, I came back. But this time, she got a full double mastectomy the first time. This time it wasn't in her breast. This time it was in fluid in her lungs. She had to get her lungs drained like 3 times. I've had asthma. I know what that feels like. I can't imagine what it feels like to have your lungs full of fluid like that. It's got to be awful. And to have them drained, just, uh-oh. Oh, okay. It's okay, I guess. You know, that's got to be really painful. And after the 3rd time, her lungs got drained, and the doctor said, we don't know why. We can't figure it out. So then she went into hospice. And I didn't want that for my friends. So I said, well, I'm going to at least do everything I know how to do. You know, if there's anything I can do to prevent this from happening again, I'm going to do it. And that's what we did. And a few months later, I was in a networking group, and they're talking about it's October, which is breast care month. And I was like, I got to do something about this. It's already been playing in my head. I got to write a book. I got to write this stuff down. I've already written a book. You may already know that. But I've already written a book. I've been through the process of writing a book. And I was already starting to think, I've got to write a book. And I'd taken a few dabs at it and was playing with it and hadn't really gotten anywhere. You know, I had a lot of notes about that. I had the good skeleton of the book there. And they said they were going to do something special for Breast Care Month. And I was like, I'll come talk. Would you like me to come talk? And then I had to put a speech together. Necessity, right? Necessity is the mother of invention. I'd put my foot in my mouth and I had to move forward. So I started doing the research that really just blew my mind. 1 in 8 women will have breast cancer. 70% of women have mastaglia at some point in their life. It broke my heart. I got up and I did that speech, and I practically had tears in my eyes at the end. I don't know if that's for somebody. If any of the knowledge that I have can prevent that from happening, I need to share it. So I started Happy Boobs. Isn't that a fun title? Happy Boobs. Yes, indeed. And what is Happy Boobs? Happy Boobs is not about are they perky or do they look like you're 16. See, we hold a lot of stress in our chest. And that stress does a lot more than just sit there. Those marbles, they get heavy. They start bending over. You don't have good posture. How do you stand when you know you feel good about how you look, right? Shoulders are back. Well, what was the phrase in The Amazing Mrs. Maisel? Tip up, right? But when you're not feeling good, you're not. Your head's down, your shoulders down. You feel like you got the weight of the world on your back. And in a way, you kind of do. Because it's the stress that's holding you down, that's preventing you. Oh, sorry about that. That's holding you down and pushing you in that icky position until you do the tits up, right? Go on as your best self. Sometimes that's really hard to do. It's easy to say, oh, it's a mindset. It's a lot more than a mindset. But it gets reflected in our physical body. So that's what I'm here to change. I want to take that emotional weight off your back, off your chest, so you can feel better. You can feel that lightness, that tits up moment, or you go on stage and you're like, yes, I got this. You don't have to go on stage to feel I got this. You need it every day. You know those people in your life that have that. I got this. The world looks much simpler for them. Is it? I don't know. I think they just roll with things a little bit more. They don't get ruffled as easily. Because when you're feeling down, when you're feeling broken, and you feel like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulder, it's really hard to be, yeah, I got this. I was on a call today, and this lady was talking about her own journey. And, you know, I've had my journey like this, similar but different. And she was talking about how this person didn't support her and that person didn't support her and da-da-da. And Chumbawamba song was going through my head. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Well, do I have to say anything about that? I don't have permission for that. I don't know. Anyway, it's Chumbawamba. So, I'm giving them credit. And I had my dark day of the soul where, remember those little clown dolls we had when we were kids? They had seams at the bottom, and you'd punch them and they'd come right back, and you'd punch them and they'd come right back. I had mine, I got knocked down, and I got up again. And some days it was like, I'd get as far as my knees, and it was like, bam, again. Happy to say I'm not having those days so much anymore. But we go through those times, and you need somebody to be there with you and say, hey, I'm going to help you stand up. And that's on an emotional level and a physical level. And so that's what Happy Boobs is about. There's a sisterhood. I've got a course and teach you tools that are going to change your life. And, we women, we need each other, right? So I've created a sisterhood here. And so that we can help each other. So that when you're going through that dark day, you don't have to do it by yourself. You're not by yourself. There's a whole community of women who've been there, done that. If you have a day where you've got nostalgia, you need somebody to talk to, come into the sisterhood. I've got a course coming out July 21st, so check it out. It's going to be exciting. All of this you can find at happyboobs.me, right? I like .me in this case because it's really how many of us women we give to everybody else. When do we take time for ourselves? This is the ultimate in self-care. I'm telling you. It's not about bubble baths. It's not about going for a walk. Those things are great, and if they work for you, that's awesome. But this goes so much deeper than that. The course gets into nutritional stuff, somatic, lymphatic. It's all over the internet right now. About cortisol, your lymph. But we're going deeper than you're seeing on TikTok. Way deeper. And I'm going to teach you techniques that you can use to help yourself feel better. So that is my new adventure. It is super exciting. I hope you come along. Please go to happyboobs.me, take the quiz, and let's go on this healing journey with me. Hey, Mark.
That sounds like a great journey. You have sent me information about it because you definitely want guys to help out their ladies in their life, whether that's their mothers or whether that's their aunts or whether that's their significant others and others. So I know that some people may be like, but that's for the women of the world. But you can definitely help a loved one and all along those lines because you
Mark,
got
you just broke up.
maybe even teachers and all along those lines. And actually, I do know for a fact that breast cancer affects men as well. So that is something that people forget as well because we do have chest and it does affect men to some degree, even though I don't think it's as great as it is with women and everything like that. I was going to teach you about something, Jeanette, before we get to ending the show and all along those lines, but I'm surprised that you're not in New York because I know that starting at 5 o'clock is going to be this big wedding. They got a permit that the wedding can start at 5 and I think go till 4 in the morning, and that's the wedding between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. And I just know that you're tied into the Hollywood community there in LA. So I'm surprised that you're not there, that you didn't have an invitation and all along those lines. So I was waiting for you to have this massive invitation.
I was laughing because you're too funny. So my claim to fame being in LA, well, we've had Catherine Moffat on the show.
Yes.
So I would have to say that of the people I truly know, she's probably the most famous person I know. And she was a guest star on like almost every show in the 80s. And she did movies. And she was on Star Trek, one of the, I forget which one, the Next Generation, I think.
I think it was Next Generation, yes.
Yeah. So, although you wouldn't recognize her for that because she had a ton of makeup on and funky wig and stuff like that. So, like, if you loved the show and you saw her and you, like, if you saw the next picture, you'd like, yeah, but I don't know that you'd recognize her from that character. But she did a lot of stuff. I don't live in the area where everybody's just kind of walking around. And honestly, you know what though? The whole Taylor Swift wedding thing today, and they're having it in the middle of Times Square, and I'm like, this is a nightmare for the city.
They have it in Madison Square Garden, and apparently the main thoroughfares, which is Penn Station. They can't even get off at their regular stop. They have to get off much further down or further in front and everything like that. So yeah, it's definitely
And
a
this is a
logistical.
holiday where people are out and about.
Right.
To me, it's. I mean, she could have a wedding anywhere. This is very disruptive, if you ask me.
Yeah, it is definitely very disruptive, and yeah, there's a lot of that going on and everything like that. But I was laughing because I was just like, well, she's done some celebrity homes and done some celebrity work here and there. Not a lot, but you've done some in the
I
LA.
have. I did some work for Michael Gross many years ago. He was the dad on Family Ties.
Right.
I did work for a producer of Family Guy. Um, Trying to think who else. I don't know. I mean, people think you live in LA. There's a star around every corner, and the thing is, well, I'm not somebody that just goes up and running to them. My ex saw Tony Danza a couple times. I've seen I've seen several characters from The Young and the Restless. That was kind of fun. I sat behind Nikki. What's her name? The character's Nikki.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name right now. I should know it. Melanie. Anyway, I sat behind her at a play one time. I sat in front of um, the Superman TV show, the one with Lois and Clark. I
Right.
sat. The dad was sitting behind me. This is a funny story. So we had these play tickets that we went to all the time, and this guy's behind me, and my God, he's really familiar. And I go to so many different networking things, and I'm involved in so many different things, and like, but most of the things I belong to, it's women. So I'm like, why would I know this guy? And racking my brain, going, okay, all the different little file cards. Where would I know this guy from? Where would and this is this guy in his 60s. I mean, like, okay, he's not a client. I mean, that one was easy. And like, okay, networking groups, this, that. I'm running through all the things, and it was driving me nuts where I knew this man. And I had already said during intermission, I was gonna say, I know you, sir, but I don't know where I know you from. And before I did that, he said something to his friend before, during intermission, at the start of intermission, and I was like, I know who he is.
And
So
you
I let him be. I let him be. People deserve a life,
know, a lot of times they just want to be left alone. I know that I've been
right?
going for years to the now called the International Black Theater Festival. It used to be called the National Black Theater Festival, and there were a couple of stars that were conceded or yeah, they were slightly conceded, but for the most part, most of the stars, including some that have passed on, like Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis and Mickey Grant, were very much mild mannered, and they were very much down to earth and everything like that. So I didn't find a lot of celebrities that were conceited. There might have been a
Well, if they're in an event
couple
like
here
that,
or
it's
there
full
they
game.
were conceited, but for the most part, they were down to earth. They might be at the bar.
If
Right.
they're in an event like that, then they're there for autographs. They're there to talk. Like that's fine. But this guy's just out at a play, and it's like he just wants to enjoy the play. He doesn't, you
That
know.
makes sense. And sometimes it can be interesting because John Amos, I was talking to some drummers at this cultural arts center that I work at, and they were talking about how John Amos was not the best African drummer in the world, but because he was John Amos, he would sometimes try to get into the line and to get involved in the African drumming circles. And some of the more established drummers were going like, "You're all right, but you're not that great." But because he is John Amos, they gave him more respect and let him get away than they might have let some other people do because he was a celebrity. But yeah, they were teasing him because I know a couple of them were like that he might have even bogarted some of the established drummers that had like significant reputations and gone like, try to act like he was their equal when he was not their equal and everything like that. But he had star power, so he was able to use that star power to get into those circles and everything like that. Yeah, so it can be interesting the way that stars can be. Like I think John Amos passed on as well because that was the dad on Good Times and everything like that. So he was the dad on Good Times. And a number of other folks that I've run across. I think this year they're honoring Felicia Rashad, who is the mother on The Cosby Show and everything like that. So they're honoring some different people, and they've honored folks in the past. I can't remember who else they're honoring because they always honor different people because it's always at the end of July going into August. I think it's like the 28th to August 3rd or something like that. So the next time I talk to you, I might have some ideas of who they're going to be having. Because I think that if I've missed one, and this will be their 30th or 32nd, if I've missed one, I've only missed one, and that might have been last year. Because I'm trying to remember if I went last year, but I know consistently I've gone even if it was for a day or two. But it seems to me, because Mom used to live in Winston-Salem, where the event is held at. It seems to me that last year I couldn't get my travel together, so it seems like I might have missed one. But I still think that's pretty impressive if I've gone to 29 or 28 out of 30. So like, even if I missed one, I still think that's a pretty good impressive record and everything like that.
That's a pretty good record.
Yep. So I got to remember because I might have just missed one. But hey, that's still pretty decent for somebody to have gone through that many of them and everything like that. And I'm not even sure I missed that one. I got to go back to my friends and say, did we make it that year or did we not make it that year? You can't remember, but we'll find out because they actually moved from odd years to even years because when they started off, they were on odd years. So it started in, I want to say it started in maybe 89 or something like that. And then it was every odd year. And then the pandemic came. So then that's when they moved to the even year. So for the last 6 years or now going on 8 years, it's been on even years, which is why it's happening this year since this is 2026. So they made a shift because of the pandemic, just like there's another event.
Yeah, so maybe it's 21 and they decided to do it in 22.
The Eno and everything like that, which is a straight, it's a festival at a state park here in North Carolina, and I have gone for a number of years. And I think I did miss one or two of those, but they're not doing it this year, 4th of July weekend, because I think last year was when we had Chantel, and Chantel kind of damaged the park. So they're going to do it. They're going to do it at an inside venue in September. So they moved it a few months back and also inside. Hopefully next year.
Damaged the park?
It damaged the park, Chantel, because it was like one of those hurricane type storms, and it really damaged the park significantly.
Okay, I missed, LA girl, I don't keep in mind all the names of the hurricanes. So yeah. I thought Chantel was a band. I'm sorry.
No, Chantel was the name of they name hurricanes after people. So Chantel was.
No, I know that. I just, sorry.
Fair enough. That makes more than enough. Just really quickly, and then we get ready to do Can Do Spices. I know a lot of my friends on the network have been following, and apparently all the home teams are doing well, even though we're now in the round of 16 and they all face difficult matches. But have you been following the World Cup? Because I've been seeing people have big parties in places like LA and Miami and other places. Have you been following soccer at all? Or is this something that you just don't get the hoopla about? Because a lot of people are totally into the hoopla.
There's only one thing I know about FIFA and World Cup and all that, and that is a wonderful little song by New Order, and I can only sing one line. We're singing for England, England, and that's all I know.
For America, which I did not know, but apparently there's a theme song for America because after America beat Belgium, they started singing this song, and it's not the national anthem, but it's a song, I want to say it's not Country Roads, but it sounds like it's a country-oriented song that has become the theme song for the USA team. So apparently the USA team has a theme song outside of the national anthem because every country has its national anthem played at the beginning of the game. But after they won against Belgium, and I watched a couple of games, but this was my first game watching, there is a theme song that is a theme song for the U.S. And like I said, I think it's a country musician, and it seems like it had like some lyrics about like America. It's not like America the Beautiful, but it's pride. It's kind of like singing the praise of America. But it's a theme song for the USA team that apparently they got created. I didn't even know we had a theme song, but apparently we have a theme song in the American team and everything like that. So I'm going to actually look it up really quickly before we get ready to get on out here because I know you got it.
So tomorrow's the 4th of July, and is there 250? And I remember 200 was a big deal, and 250 doesn't seem to be as big a deal. And you guys are much more into the history of that time period on the East Coast than we are. So are you guys doing anything big?
There's going to be a parade in North Carolina tomorrow in Raleigh. It's supposed to feature all 100 of our counties. Because of the heat wave, there have been a couple of things that have been canceled, including a parade in Philadelphia. So the heat wave is impacting. I do think that I heard that the North Carolina Symphony is not playing one of the events. Of course, President Trump is doing his big 250th anniversary celebration in D.C. So there are a number of celebrations throughout the East Coast and even throughout the United States, but some of them are being impacted by the weather, because I don't know how it is there, because I heard it from another friend of mine.
Is that why he's having it so late? Because of the weather?
I think that's, well, he's having it late in D.C. because he's giving a speech. So I heard that the actual celebration and the actual party won't be after his speech, which and that could be weather related too. But I don't think that the actual thing will start until around 10 a.m. Now the parade that we're having is, because of the weather, is early in the morning. So I think Raleigh, which is our state capital, is doing their parade like maybe 9 or 10. It's still going to be fairly hot, but it won't be like 100 and something and everything like that. So that's what's going on, is that the weather is impacting event times, and also they're asking people to stay hydrated and to make sure that they are protecting themselves and all along those lines.
You guys aren't used to that high a temp. I mean, we are, but you guys aren't.
Yeah, and I was wrong. It's "Take Me Home, Country Roads," which is the John Denver song, and that's the one that is the unofficial theme song of Team USA. So apparently they sing that song, even some of the players, after their victories and everything. So it's "Take Me Home, Country Roads," and that's the definitive post-match victory anthem for the U.S. Soccer team doing global tournaments. Apparently they're also playing "Eye of the Tiger" and "Born in the USA," but the one that I was hearing that I couldn't remember was
the USA makes sense, and "Eye of the Tiger" makes sense, but "Take Me Home, Country Roads" doesn't really make sense.
I don't get it either, but apparently it's it does have that kind of like rural environment. But yeah, apparently it's become the theme song. Maybe one of the players is a John Denver fan. I have no idea, but it was funny because it's a very integrated team.
It's a nice song, but
all kinds of people, and there were a group of the athletes from our team. They were hugging each other and they were singing the lyrics. So apparently they know the song lyrics, and I don't even know the song lyrics to "Take Me Home, Country Road." But
all I know is "Take Me Home, Country Roads." I think the next line is "To the Place I Belong." West Virginia, that's about as far as I can get.
Yeah, that's about as far as I can get too. But apparently, who knew it was the theme song? But apparently, it's the theme song for our USA team. So you have to practice it between now and the 5th, because the day after the 4th of July, which is the 5th, is the next game for the U.S., and that'll hopefully get them to the round of 8. So they're in the round of 16. They've got a tough game. All the host teams have tough games. The U.S. has to play Belgium. Canada has to play Morocco, and I think Mexico has to play England. So they all got tough opponents to play, because all three of their opponents are teams with a solid reputation. So hopefully all three can make it, as they are the host team and everything like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if none of them make it, because all three of them have tough opponents. So we'll see how it plays out. Maybe we'll get lucky and get one or two in, but I'm not going to be surprised with any of the results, because all of them are tough opponents.
They are.
Yeah. Belgium is historically tough, even though they're not as strong as they used to be, but they're still tough. England is always tough, and even Morocco is always tough. So yeah, it's not going to be easy for our host countries.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure. Well, we're going to get out here with Kendu Spices. I'm definitely looking forward to helping you with the Happy Moves organization and everything else that you're doing. You're always doing amazing things, and I'm always glad to call you a friend and somebody that I care deeply about. So I just want to say you're doing a great job and everything like that, even though I do have to send that memo to Taylor and Travis and be like, why didn't you invite Jeanette? Jeanette is supposed to be there to plan your wedding. I know you got other wedding planners and you got other people that are designing this elaborate thing in Madison Square Garden. You're not hiring the best. If you want to hire the best, you need to hire Jeanette. So I'm going to send them a letter saying that they messed up. They did not hire you.
Cool. Maybe they'll have me design their house.
That's it. They can design the house afterwards, or houses, because a lot of these celebrities like to have 3, 4, 5, 6 houses, even though you can only live in a couple of houses. I had a friend of my mom's who's since passed on, but he used to have multiple houses, but he also had multiple businesses in multiple locations, because he was running a construction management company, like a construction firm. And I know he had offices in LA. His daughter took over the company, and that's in Atlanta. And I think he had offices. My brother helped him move. It was like an apartment. I don't think it was a full house in New York, and I think he had some houses in other places, like maybe even overseas. But it made sense because they had offices in those places as well. And I'm sure he had people that were living in the
It's a
houses.
business write-off too.
Right, it's a write-off, and I'm sure he had people that were living in there when he wasn't living there, whether it was family members or whether it was fellow employees or whatever. So it could have been, like you said, a tax write-off.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, we get ready to go.
Problems I'd like to have.
Say what?
Problems I'd like to have.
I'm sorry?
Problems I'd like to have. I'm making so much money that I got to buy extra houses for the tax write-off.
That would be a great problem. And like I said, Ron passed away several years ago. He was a good friend of my mom's and everything like that. But yeah, I can imagine that was a good problem to have. I remember one of the houses he had here in North Carolina had a really cool game room because it was down in the basement. So I think he had like pools. I think he had a pool down there and maybe some other things like maybe video games and maybe even a foosball table and some other cool items because I had gone down to his house once or twice, but including a nice little bar and everything like that. And I think my brother who went and helped him get the house in New York, it was more like a what do you call them? Not like a loft apartment, but like a apartment that's more like what do you call like a condo?
A flat?
Hmm?
A pied-à-terre?
I'm sorry?
A pied-à-terre?
No, it wasn't pied-à-terre. It was like one of those like I want to say it was like a condo type apartment, but it was like an apartment. I just know when he went there, he said it had some really good, nice amenities. But I want to say it was like maybe on like a higher floor, like maybe it was up on like let's say the 20th or the 30th floor. But it was definitely not a house. It was more like a condo apartment, if I remember correctly. I'd have to ask Malik, but I do remember he said he had some cool items there too, and some friends of mine that do his LA property said he had some cool things there as well. But even Mom's got her swimming pool, and she just has a modest home. But the swimming pool is a attraction for when my cousins and other people come to visit. As a matter of fact, I think one of her cousins her first cousin is coming to visit from your neck of the woods. I think she said she's coming to visit either late July or August from the LA area because I think that's where she lives at, and she has been to visit Mom a couple of times. But she likes to get out there and enjoy the pool. And the only thing that Mom doesn't like about the pool is that you have to adjust the pump and do that on a regular basis. So sometimes she does it. Sometimes one of our family members does it. But the pools do have upkeep as well. And I'm sure you know that even from some of your friends in LA, they probably have pools as well. So every year, Mom sometimes tells me, I'm trying to decide, am I keeping the pool? Am I not keeping the pool? But every year she knows that her grands, my nephews, will like the pool, so she winds up getting the pool retrofitted every year. So the oldest one graduated and is going off to college in about a month or two, and then the youngest one will do that next year. So I know that at least for one more year, because they'll be at least the youngest one of my nephews that'll want that pool. But we've also got second cousins and other relatives that are there. I don't see Mom stopping using that pool for a few years, but Mom might shock me. She may call me up one day and be like, I'm tired and frustrated of this pool. The pool is staying shut down this year. But for now, I don't think that anytime soon.
I've got to get to another thing at noon, but I think it's time for Can Do Spice. Thank you.
It is time for Can Do Spice. So we're going to get out of here and everything like that. Always fun talking to you, Jeanette, and we're going to get out of here with Can Do Spice and let you get to your next meeting. Always fun catching up with you.
Thanks.
No problem.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, And I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can-Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can-Do Spice a try.